200 to go. And Barclay Square goes to Statuario. Then Cadmus from the back running on. Barclay Square drew away. He'll do it again. Barclay Square's home in the cup.
Depth of characters there. Also around the outside, Cosmic Crusader, let's go. He's coming with his run, King of Light under heavy pressure back in the field. Cosmic Crusader reached the lead. Here's Watch Me Rock. He's coming out after Cosmic Crusader. Cosmic Crusader, Watch Me Rock. The railway winner cutting him down. Watch Me Rock, Cosmic Crusader. Who'll get the bob of the heads? Cosmic Crusader.
And now on PG Podcast Network, it's time for the year-round carnival with Vince Accardi and your host, Racetrack Ralphie.
And doing the cosmic thing with B52s as Cosmic Crusader won the big Northerly on Saturday. Also a bit of audio there from Racing.com of Berkeley Square winning the Ballarat Cup. Couple of the highlights over the weekend. And we're going to talk about it with Vince Accardi from Daily Sexuals. Good morning, mate.
Hey, good morning, Ralphie. Here we are.
Well, there we were on Saturday. And was Ascot back? For a couple of weeks, we're just saying, hang on, what's happening with these hoses? Are they out a bit? But I thought the way the Ascot track played, and by the look of your numbers backing them up, that we might have got the old quick track again.
It's good, isn't it, to see that there was some balance restored. And I did have a look at the lanes as well, and you could just see, with the exception of a couple of races, they were all lanes 6, 7, 8, pretty much, which is, for when the rail's in the true, that's about right. And
absolutely.
Yeah, no, it was good to see. It was good to see. That's exactly how it should be.
All right, well, Cosmic Crusader won the Northerly. Michael Granham wins his first Group 1. Clinton Johnson Porter wins his second Group 1. And he just staved off Watch Me Rock. There's a lot of fundamentals to unpack from this race, not just the race itself, but fundamentals. And I'll explain why along the way. I want to start with this. Clint Johnson Porter, he's beaten one of the best jockeys we've seen in this country the last 25 years in National Weller. Both riders brought out an absolute A-grader, didn't they?
Yeah, for sure. No question. I have to say, though, Ralphie, you brought the little spice up on the Friday about, Ozopenko, and that could be the big fly in the ointment if they go from the wide barrier forward, and it could really turn the Bunsen burners on. And I felt this is where the whole dynamics of the race became what it was. It was hot, wasn't it? Super speed. Unbelievable. Well, Ozopenko's gone 12.5 above. Good firm surface, speed in the track. The horse has the ability to go fast. Wow, 12.5. That would have been stretching the friendship for a few horses for sure. And it did put pay to some of the better chances as well.
Well, there was a dead set gap. So one of your fundamentals always is in an insane speed race, it's Goldilocks. It's the elastic band. It's 3 to 6 because you don't want to be too far out from the lead because you're in a non-winning position, and too close and you can't keep your legs up.
That's so true, Ralphie. That's so important. And for people that were on a horse like the favourite, where perhaps they probably wondered, did the bubble burst? I don't know if we touched on it on the Friday, but the power of never been, in a race, in a campaign where there's fast speed, especially at 1800, you are going to be vulnerable. I mean, the horse went 7.1 above first section. Would have been murderous for that horse first time round. Never tasted anything like it. Yeah.
Compare that to the first section of the Guineas.
The first section,
how fast did he go?
Yeah, well, it was virtually 5.1 lengths faster, almost a second quicker, Ralphie, than the Guineas. And an extra 200 metres.
So he's going to be feeling that. And speaking of feeling, before we get to the first two, I'm just sitting there watching the race thinking, I hope you know what you're doing, Billy Egan, on Western Empire. And then the numbers come through and I go, oh, I'm sorry, you've slaughtered that.
Yeah. Got caught in the jam,
he did,
as they say. And it was an unbelievable performance by the horse. But you get caught in that fast pace. I don't believe, you're right, I don't believe he had to go that fast, but they must have had a plan, up on speed, we want to be part of the lead pack, which is fair enough, right? Yep. but he knew he was going fast. He didn't. Had he just gone a few lengths softer early, even 3 lengths softer early, you had plenty of time. Could have even been 4 off him, Ralphie, and the picture would have been different. But he was probably the other rider that guaranteed in the end the fast pace, because if he had eased, there's probably a big chance Ozzapenko would have eased, and not eased dramatically, but it would have eased maybe 2-3 lengths, and we might have had a race that might have been 6 to 8 lengths above, and not 12-13. Wow, how fast was it?
It's obviously a bit of a short bend to that. Short run to the first bend, and as you said, they would have had a plan, but the good jockeys have to have plan B. And Billy Egan, to and it's easy. I always say it's easy for me sitting on a chair looking at numbers, but in good order was there to get behind. And I dare say he goes, well, I don't want to be behind 100 to 1 chop. When you're going that fast, you've just got to take cover, and he didn't. So the context I want to ask you. So 11.7 lengths above benchmark. This is a horse who likes to relax in his races. Give us his next time, the next fastest he's gone first section in his career.
Well, Ralphie, there is a 5.2 at 1400 at Caulfield.
Yeah,
but that's
how did you go then?
Well, that was a bit tough too. It was 5.2 in the middle too. Well, he went nowhere. He finished 10th.
Brian Jenny was leading. Yeah,
he collapsed that day. Like last 400 minus 12.8. That's like a complete collapse. Realistically, the horse is a +1, +2 horse early, and probably the only thing that saved the horse was that last start where they went near benchmark. So going into the race, he got some baseline fitness, but for a horse with that age to have to deal with that third up, it's tough. It's tough, very tough.
Tell you what, it's going to be interesting chatting to you this Friday for the Gold Rush, because the rule of 10's in play and he has to come back to 1400 from 1800. So that'll be our preview. But here's a little bonus for our customers this week. If you're already getting our 4-week package, you're getting this as a bonus as well. It's not just the Gold Rush, but there's 2 big prize money races on the eastern side of the country, and we're going to cover both. So the Ingham at Randwick and the Pakenham $1 Million Supernova, Private Eyes going down there. It's going to be a super field. So the biggest 2 races in Australia we're covering as well. Now, they're in isolation. If you want Vince's race speed profiles, you still have to get them via daily sectionals, but we're going to do the audio only. We're going to do that as part of the Friday podcast. So the Supernova, the Ingham, and then, of course, the deep dive into the whole Gold Rush meeting. Now, Vince, let's get to the winner. I pride myself. I missed out on Libertad every year when we do Sizzlers. I want to make sure we get every big race winner. So I took a whiff on Libertad last week. Couldn't find it. But Cosmic Crusader, this was the classic peak, and peak as in not having a huge hard run, and that he didn't have it by missing out the start of the railway, but he went 1.1 lengths above benchmark, 5th on the day on the 15th. Quick backup, missed out the run on the railway, and it was an easy win. 1.8 lengths above benchmark, ranked 3rd on the day. And we wrote lightly raced 5-year-old who won his 3rd race for the 5-run prep. With this, his first for the new stable, remains on the rise. Minus 1.3 at the 800, 6.4 length improvement early speed from a week earlier. 0.3 in the mid-race, 5.7 last 400, 4th best last 800, 600, 400 the day before, the 15th best last 200, losing 0.6 for lengths with the race won. He's got tactical versatility, looks set to run very well in the Northerly end of the Gold Rush from here. So he peaked again, and because A, he found a high-pressure race, and B, Clint Johnson Porter all honours.
Ralphie, yes, all of that, and first time 1800 as well.
Yes.
Did it all, and the worthy winner. Without question, the worthy winner. I mean, it was an unbelievable performance. 8.2 lengths above benchmark. It's not like as if that horse was going slow. It was also going fast and setting new records for itself. Like the fastest it had gone prior to that was, we had to go all the way back to March of 24, where it went plus 3.5 first section. So it was big. I'd have to call the situation between the 8 and the 4 a slowdown, Ralphie. Yep. So that just probably reinforces how big the race was for this horse. And then the last 400 metres of plus 3.1 under the circumstances. How much did the rock hard fitness have in play? I don't know, because you could have looked at that 2 ways. You could have looked at it as number 1, he might have peaked last start. But he's peaked again with a new PB and a big new PB. He surged from 1.3 above to 2.6 above, Rolfie. Masterful. Yep. Very serious.
I'm going to say a little barrack in my head, even though I was on Western Empire Edgy, was Watch Me Rock, because Watch Me Rock's out to $12. We discussed the speed aspect on the Friday, saying that Nash had a challenge from the barrier. Well, he's pulled out an absolute masterful one. One of the greatest barrier riders we've ever seen in this country. And for barrier 15, there he is, within 400 metres, one off the fence, midfield. He's a freak. But not just that. How much slower did he go with 5 kilos more from the railway, Vince?
Well, you're talking about like 7.5 lengths slower.
No, I'm talking about overall. What was his overall performance with 5 kilos more that apparently was worth so much?
Well, if you have a look at the overall performance, I mean, what's the horse done? 2.5 above on the weekend?
Yeah,
versus
the railway?
0.5 below. How do you compare it?
No, the railway start before. What was his winning performance in 20?
His winning performance at the very last start was plus 2.3.
Right, so he's matched it with 5 kilos more.
Matched it, yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Well, weights, Ralphie. Weights are only a problem with your acceleration when you need to speed up at given points, and if you can't get out and you get blocked and all those things, they can work against you, especially if you've got high weight. But the thing is, you got to remember, if you're carrying 54 or say 60, right? That's a big variation. On a 400 meter sprint, the maximum impact is probably half length, maximum, and that's if it's unimpeded. If you're unimpeded, half a length. That's the most right. You're probably going to lose acceleration by. Now that is dependent on a few things. That's assuming that you're going even speed. What happens if you're going softer? You probably lose nothing. Yeah.
Pretty confident after 40 years that's pretty close?
Oh, Ralphie, I've done too many of them. And this is why I just don't take the weight as seriously. And I used to take it very seriously, of course. Sometimes I used to think that there are still situations where I felt that horses have got a threshold to the weight they can carry, then they just can't handle it anymore. But there's so many other factors. And these days, the trainers are so skillful, Ralphie, with the way they train horses. I just feel that they're so much stronger and capable of handling a lot more variation. And this also means that they're going to be able to handle the weight variation as well.
Well, the point with Watch Me Rock is if that's all right, the traditional ratings way of looking at things, that somehow this horse has improved 5 lengths in 2 weeks after winning a PB. It just makes no sense.
No, and that's just big garbage. And this is why a lot of those things, when you're looking at just pure ratings and there's no other factors involved other than weight and class, it can send you astray at times.
A couple of things worth...
This will be one of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, just a couple of things worth touching on elsewhere in the meeting. There was one fundamental I missed, Vince. Fundamental I missed. I remember, and it happened as recently as 3 years ago with the great man Ollie when he was wasting a Ryder Caulfield Cup mount. Willie Pike had to ride at 52 kilos. Now, he can ride at 52 kilos, but it's still a stretch. And he got a couple badly wrong earlier in the day, starting with Royal Tornado in the first race.
Yeah, well,
it's one thing I start looking for. So if a jockey's got a big race, waste really hard, his earlier races, it's just they're human. They can't possibly be as on point if they're starving themselves silly.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Just even his psychological scenario within himself, like he communicated, not this weekend, the weekend before, that he felt that he's been out of form.
Yes. Yes, he won the railway, and then last week he got beaten on a few. And look, I mean, we'll get to the one that he pulled out an unbelievable one in the last. But yes. Royal Tornado, race 1, just too much to do too late.
Well, you've got to set up. There it is. You're going 6.5 lengths below benchmark. This horse is going 11.6, so you're on the cusp. Now, if you're in a wider lane position, like in other words, if the rail's out, say 3-4 metres, it's probably okay. because you're going to pick that deficit up because he would be 100% in the lanes, but there's no chance of getting the lanes here. And so that makes it hard when there's not a lot of tempo. You know the rules. You've got to be as close as you can. Now, he wasn't too far behind the actual winner in terms of the 800-metre position. He was like a length and a quarter off it. Now, could that have been the difference between winning and losing? Possibly, but then you look at the last 400 metres, and particularly the last 200, it says absolutely he didn't use enough energy early. He should have had the horse. He should have had the horse one length close. He should have been right alongside Trio or next to it.
And looking at the IVR report, it's almost the same in race 3 with Summer's Legacy. Almost exactly the same profile. It was just conceding too far and found traffic again.
Oh, that one was just diabolical. Like, I don't know what happened there, but he was definitely sleeping on the wheel. That one, 11.9 below. That's too far back, Ralphie. Off a 4.8 below benchmark speed, you're out of the zone. And big last 400, not the biggest last 200 though, Ralphie. A few of them still out sprinted who used a lot more fuel. So I don't want to put him completely in the bin. Maybe you're only as good as the horse can be, and perhaps the horse didn't want to move too hard in the early sections.
Well, one of those was Twilight Tail. What type of projection could you have for the Perth Cup for this horse? Because I think this is the sole focus of the horse. As far as, it's obviously been a slow build for this stayer. Just did her second career prep, and I think it's grand final day on the New Year's Day 2400 metres. Given her late speed, what type of profile she got?
Well, it's all going to get back down to race shape. It's going to be very important. I mean, has the horse got the miles in the legs? Absolutely. It's been up since pretty much August. It's had a stack of racing. It's had plenty of racing now in terms of around that 2,000, 2,200 metre mark. So it's very, very hardened and fit. So I just feel that it's going to get back down to the race shape. What sort of speed are they going to travel at early will determine. What's the distance of that? It's not 32, is it? 2,400. Yeah, 2,400's okay. Yep, that's fine. All right, but he's a 2-3 length below benchmark horse, though, Ralphie.
I don't think it'll be overly strong, and a lot of them will be also from the race 8, the Towton Cup, the Buckets Ridge one. So we've got a bit of a match up here. What did we see from Buckets Ridge and Forever Boy that he survived the protest from Forever Boy?
I thought Buckets Ridge run was magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. Number one, if you look at the 3 lead-in runs, he's typically been running sort of 8 to 13 lengths below benchmark. Comes out, he's running 4 lengths below benchmark for a split time. Look at his last 2 sections. Plus 2.5 between, or 2.8 between the 8 and the 4. Plus 4.2 last 400. Super strong, Ralphie. That, to me, this looks like a great horse for 2,400 next start. Like, coming into the race in absolute perfect condition. Now, I don't know, what was the real scenario on that protest? I mean, there wasn't really anything in it, was there?
Don't think so.
No. And Forever Boy, just as impressive. I reckon they're the 2 horses that are probably going to fight it out again.
All right. Well, they're both $8 at the moment for the Perth Cup, and Diamond Scene comes from that brutal northerly. He gassed out after being wide, so you could probably forgive him. So they're a couple that are worth having a look at now if you're looking at the futures. And let's finish with giving Pikey some flowers because, Black Aura, what a last race Pike ride that one was.
Yeah, Ralph, you would have been happy to back this horse in the last race, wouldn't you? I mean, it was just the horse had the right profile going into the race, and his ride was. What, it'd take him all day to get it right? Nah. But he knew he'd stay on the inside. Maybe he had no choice, and it worked out perfect for him. Number one, golden position. Big field. They're going 0.7 above benchmark. It's plenty of speed for 1,000 metres. There was always going to be a little bit of a challenge about how much speed the horse could have in its legs early, but that's fantastic. He's spotting the lead pack 3, just over 3 lengths. He surged in the mid-race, not over the top. It was 2.8 above versus Desert Whisperer, who's going 3.5. So not only is that horse, Desert Whisperer, setting the trend up front, but even overextending in the mid compared to Black Aura. And then it became who was in what position over the last 400, and you can see the tail of the tape, Ralphie, what a difference it makes. The horse who's run second, how do they pronounce that? Keeper Mystery, is that right? No, Keeper Item Mystery. No, I'm lost, Ralphie. You're better than me.
Keeper Item Mystery, yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. 3.2 below. It's 3/4 of a length behind Black Aura. But that horse, for whatever reason, didn't make the same move in the middle, only went 0.7 above, and that impacted, I feel, the finish of that for that horse as well. It had to give another 2-length head start to Black Aura, and even though it had a dominant last 200 in comparison to the winner, this is what happens when then you concede 3/4 of a length early and then another couple of lengths in the mid. Well, we got to make it up somewhere. And maybe there was traffic issues. I didn't take a close look at that horse to see if there was some issues with traffic or not, but the reality is you can't beat the ride. Pike's done it all on the inside, got the split, showed the courage and wanted to get victory, and was back to Pike. He had his best in the last.
He's probably had a drink of water and something to eat after starving himself, and he was angry because he hadn't ridden a winner. I still reckon this horse though, Black Aura, I reckon she can run 1100, maybe 1200 because of the way she relaxes.
Absolutely quite possible. But I want to say the ride was 10 out of 10, Ralphie.
11.
Yeah,
11 out of 10.
Can't beat that ride.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I was throwing rocks at the TV on Sunday with Ballarat because white rain predicted, 6 mils of rain, 6 mils of irrigation on the Friday. And then we had track downgrades, we had late scratching. So very, very frustrating, but we should give the flowers to Daniel O'Sullivan, who backed his horse up Berkeley Square to win for the second year in a row. Just a real super honest sort of type of horse. What did he score overall for his best of the day performance?
Yeah, his performance was fantastic, Ralphie. 3.7 lengths below benchmark early. When you look at that sort of speed, given the nature of the day, because that track did race a lot better than slow from the 600 home. So it depends on how you want to. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, the mid race was massive. When you look at that setup, of course, there's a few things you have to look at when you're in these situations. Number one, how often do they get the high level horses coming out there?
Very rarely.
Yep. So this means that you can get certain horses come out there that have a capability that are going to really outflank the benchmarking. And here was no exception. From minus 3.7 to plus 7.8. And then the last 400 was 0.6 below benchmark. Overall, plus 1.4, Ralphie. I'd say that's like very close to being on point. Maybe there was a fair level of disappointment on a bunch of other horses, but what happens is this though, Ralphie. When you have a big move in the mid-race, a lot of horses can be affected in many different ways. And as you can see, when that mid-race came on, so many horses were negative late, like they just couldn't handle. They could not cope with that massive move in the middle, and that lactic build-up completely put a whole bunch of horses in collapse mode. And I would say pretty much from third position down, they just struggled. It was only the first two horses that didn't have the same collapse. So they were obviously at a different conditioning phase. They probably were horses that could cope with that big move in the middle compared to the others. And I don't know how to. Did you forgive a lot of those horses? Well, I don't know where they go from here, but the reality is, I'd say a lot of those horses that finish behind it might, in their own way, if they haven't already peak at their next start because of those massive moves in the middle. It actually helps a lot of horses.
Yeah, and shifty tracks as well. That some of those just probably their legs went from under them.
Yep.
Cadmus is interesting. So Berkeley Square, it's interesting. Danny's started him off and beyond 2000, but including his 2040 win in the Vars, 2000 is just his sweet spot, isn't it? That range compared to the staying trips. I don't think he's won over a staying trip, even though he's had multiple goes at it.
Well, again, it just comes down to the setup on the day, Ralphie, and where you are. Now, this horse here, if you look at it leading into the race, you would say very fit, coming off a 2,800 metre run the start before, slow pace, but big move in the middle. And if you look at this horse's typical mid-race squeeze, just this campaign, with the exception of one race, they've all been a mid-race move of 10 lengths or higher, which I feel helps the horse, right, in this sort of circumstances. Hence the reason why I feel it didn't get the collapse in the end. It's been able to sort of work out how to manage it if you want. I don't know how horses manage it, right, but you can get conditioned to it, and this would be one of the scenarios, and maybe that's the reason why that's happened. I feel outside of the winner, the others you could probably make a lot of excuses for why they didn't deliver a better performance.
I noticed Cadmus was eased out of the race on Melbourne Cup Day at 2,800. Obviously wasn't right on the day, but that's actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to 2,800 New Year's Eve. Is the New Year's Day meeting's been moved to New Year's Eve and then bag it over 2,800? I reckon they might have another throw at the stumps there, because that was a sound run.
Yeah.
We're talking mediocrity, Vince.
Ralphie, this is it. You just said it, because is that a sort of horse you want to put your money on?
No, not really. No, but I'll tell you what. There are some from Rosehill on Sunday, and another one from elsewhere in Australia that my eyeballs popped out watching it, and then your IVR figures have come through and have backed it up. So that's our members bonus this week. So got some real nuggets there from Rosehill that I want to talk to you about, and as well as a winner from elsewhere that could be on the way to Group 1 glory. Time will tell. In the meantime, by the way, if you want to get that members bonus podcast, support the fact that we're corporate bookmaker ad free. Gee, a lot of people love complaining about corporate bookmakers, but we produce a show free of corporate bookmakers because we have fantastic members. So you can click through the links, racetrackralphie.com.au and become a Group 1 member. All of Vince Accardi's work via dailysectionals.com.au. Thanks for listening to Year Round Carnival.